Suspense. Tonight, Roma Wines bring you Miss Rita Hayworth as star of 3 Times Murder, a suspense play produced, edited, and directed for Roma Wines by William Spear.
One of the most thrilling World Series in recent baseball history. And now, the exclusive that I promised you earlier in the program. A report so sensational that I'm going to devote all of my remaining time to it. I have before me a copy of a document delivered in person today to the district attorney's office by one Fredonia Bell. Fredonia Bell was the trusted personal maid of Laura Starling Morton, whom you will remember from the widely publicized murder trial of just 4 months ago. This document is a statement written by Laura Starling Morton in her own hand, and it begins as follows. Quote, I only regret that it will be impossible for me to be present when this is read aloud. What I
shall relate here concerns 3 men. Of these 3 men, it is not on behalf of my husband Robert that I write, nor on behalf of my husband Charles. This is for Elmer. But I don't think that Elmer will ever see it. For Elmer, too, is going to die.
Laura.
Yes, Robert?
Laura, where's my electric razor?
In the medicine cabinet, where it always is.
Oh, for the love of Moses.
No, Robert, I wish you wouldn't shave while you're in the bathtub that way.
What's the difference, darling, where I shave? I like to shave in the bathtub.
Well, I just don't like to see you meddling with electricity while you're in there. You might get a shock or something.
Yes, sure. Mrs. Thomas Edison.
All right, so go ahead. I don't care.
Listen, darling, listen. I like to shave in the bathtub. I'm relaxed in the bathtub. I read in the bathtub, I think in the bathtub, and I'm not going to change my habits even for you.
I know, dear. I suppose that is a lot to expect.
Oh, boy.
Robert! Robert! It was a good, loud scream. Then I stood in the door of the bathroom and looked. A good, long look. Then I called a doctor. The doctor called the police. The police called the district attorney. And I found myself confronted by a young man with red hair and glasses who gave the immediate impression of being clever, unscrupulous, and objectionable. That was Elmer.
Mrs. Williams, I'm Elmer Garner of the district attorney's office.
How do you do, Mr. Garner?
I thought that you and I better have a little private chat.
What about Mr. Garner?
About your husband.
What about my husband?
Miss Williams, I'm going to be very frank with you on a number of counts. I'm what's known as an assistant district attorney.
Mr. Garner, I have just lost my husband. I hardly think...
I'm coming to that, Mrs. Williams. The district attorney has put me on this case because he thinks he doesn't have a case. Routine investigation. Now, maybe that's because the DA is essentially a nice man with nice instincts. I'm not, but I don't agree with him.
About what?
About not having a case. Because I can smell him, Mrs. Williams. I can smell him a mile away.
What can you smell, Mr. Garner?
Murder.
Oh, I see.
Good. Your attitude's very good. No phony hysteria, no fake indignation. Realistic. I like that. I'm that way myself.
Mr. Garner, I'm trying my best to maintain my composure under trying circumstances. And I must say, your extraordinary insinuation does not make it any easier.
Now, look, I know you killed him. You know that I know you killed him.
Mr. Garner.
I said I was going to be very frank with you, Miss Williams. I am. On your side of the story is the fact that although I know you killed him, it may be a little difficult to prove that you killed him. Not too difficult, but a little.
I should think it might, since it's utterly untrue.
Yeah. Now let's see what cards I hold. You're a laboratory technician. You were before you married, at any rate, right?
Right.
And your technical knowledge would have told you that a man using a faulty electrical appliance while sitting in a tub full of water stood an excellent chance of electrocuting himself.
I also know that a man firing a bullet into his head would stand an excellent chance of killing himself.
Well, the insulation on the cable of that electric razor was frayed. Now, that might have happened through normal wear. It also might have happened because it was tampered with. By you.
And then again, as you say, it might not.
Would it surprise you to know that we've got your fingerprints all over that razor?
It would surprise me more if you hadn't. Or on everything else in the house, for that matter, Mr. Garner.
You're a very intelligent woman, Mrs. Williams. You're right. It would have looked funny. You were smart not to wipe off those prints. Very smart, eh?
Thank you.
However, so much for the means. Now for the motive. We can establish, of course, that you and your husband didn't get along.
Unfortunately, you could establish that about many husbands and wives.
And that your husband was insured for $50,000 in your favor. And that there's about $50,000 more in community property, and that you inherit, right?
Naturally.
Well, $100,000 is quite a nice little motive, Miss Williams.
But it doesn't prove anything, does it, Mr. Garner?
That depends on how it's used by the prosecuting attorney. That's me, you know.
I know.
Do you have a lawyer, Mrs. Williams?
Not yet.
Oh, you're a very intelligent woman, Mrs. Williams. That would have looked bad, too, if you had a lawyer right on tap. But you're going to need a lawyer, you know.
So it would appear.
All right. What about me?
You?
Sure, I'm a lawyer.
You just finished telling me that you would be the prosecuting attorney.
Well, that's just the point. Why spend a lot of money on a lawyer who probably can't get you off anyway when you can spend it on me and have a sure thing? You see?
Yes, I see.
All I want is half. $50,000.
No.
What's the matter, too much?
No.
Oh, look here, sister. You don't seem to realize that I'm in a position, depending on how I handle this case, either to set you free or to hang you.
That, Mr. Garner, is where we disagree.
You mean you're willing to gamble and I can't do it, huh?
If you wish to put it that way.
All right. But $50,000 is going to look cheap. Cheap when they slip that noose around your neck. And there she sits, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, cold, calm, emotionless. The same Laura Williams who carefully calculated, carefully planned and premeditated the murder of her husband. I ask the death penalty. I must ask it. For ponder well, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. If you set her free, believe me, this will not be the last accident to mark the bloody trail through life of Laura Williams. And when that accident occurs, when the next victim is struck down, his innocent blood will be on your hands.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, have you reached a verdict?
We have, Your Honor.
What is your verdict?
On the grounds of insufficient evidence, we find the defendant not guilty.
Well, Mrs. Williams, I guess the sporting thing is to say congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Garner.
I'll say one thing. You got what it takes. You know, the jury was evenly divided the whole first day. Do you know that?
Yes, I knew it.
So I wasn't too far wrong at that, was I?
Just far enough, Mr. Garner.
Say, listen, again, just a sporting proposition. Tell me, did you?
Did I what?
Oh, come on. We're alone here. Anyway, it doesn't matter because you can't be tried twice for the same thing. You know that, don't you?
Yes, I know it.
Well, did you?
Yes! You cheap, contemptible blackmailer! Yes! I killed him! How do you like that? I killed him!